Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Rainmaking Time. This is Kim Greenhouse. I interviewed Scott Patterson, the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Quants. And then I read Ellen Brown's article, Computerized Front Running, another Goldman Dominated Fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, we've interviewed Ellen Brown, the author of Web of Debt at webofdebt.com, several times about banking, about forming state banks, about how to get the economy going. And very few people can speak about it with the depth of knowledge that she has and puts together the synthesis of what's happening. Today, the question is, are we living at a time when free markets exist anymore? And if we don't, how do we fix it? And if we do, how do we prove it, knowing that high-frequency trading exists? In Ellen's interview with Max Keiser at maxkeiser.com, she found something out about high-frequency trading, patents, and a whole other echelon of trading. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ellen Brown to It's Rainmaking Time. Good morning.
Thanks, Kim.
Talk about what you found out. What is computerized front running, and how does it distinguish itself, or is it the same as high-frequency trading?
High-frequency trading is trading by computer. So right now, 70% of stock market trades are conducted by computer, and they're mostly after hours. Like, they're not when the New York Stock Exchange is actually open. And what they're doing is literally skimming profits off the top of other trades. And that's the whole purpose for having those things in there, is they want to be very fast. They're working in nanoseconds. They do millions of trades in nanoseconds, so they're just shaving a little bit off of these trades. So the trick is to be able to figure out when big orders are coming in, figure out what their limit price is, in other words, the most that they're willing to pay, and then the computer jumps right in and bids up the price. So the way they figure out what the limit price is, the reason they are able to see this big trade coming in is because of something called flash trades. They're allowed to peak. For a fee, they're allowed a peak ahead of everyone else of these big trades. So these would be like pension funds or mutual funds. So it's our money. It's many people combined together in a pension fund, huge multi-million-dollar trades. Then the computer is able to figure out what the limit price is by its sort of nibbles. Like, let's say the actual price, in other words, the bid price, the ask price, the price that the actual price right now is 25, and the limit price of this big order is 26. So the computer will nibble at $25.10, $25.20, $25.30. In other words, it'll keep making little tiny orders at these different prices going on up, and those will each get gobbled up until they hit the limit. And then when a sale doesn't go through, then they know that's the limit. So all of a sudden, they buy up those millions of shares, or that many shares. Of course, they don't really buy them. I mean, they don't have the money. They're doing this all with leverage, with on margin, or with borrowed money or credit. So they buy up this huge amount of stock, and then they turn right around and sell it to the pension fund or the mutual fund that's just about to make the order. So all these trades, it's like a huge tax on every single trade or every big trade that they bother to manipulate, and it's a tax on us. They're not creating anything. Obviously, they don't care about the productivity of the company. They're not sticking around to vote on how to best manage the company and make it more productive. All they're interested in is taking money from other people. They're not making anything. They're making money out of their money by taking it away from us. Either that or inflating the system. Either one is going to take money away from us.
In your interview with Max Keiser, he shared with you about the virtual specialist, a prototype for high-frequency trading, and this patent that he has on bringing buyers and sellers together. Talk about that.
He invented this patent. the reason he knows so much about it is that he invented the prototype, and his intention was not to invent something that would allow electronic front running. The idea was to prevent electronic front running. So he and his co-owner had a business called the Hollywood Stock Exchange, which was a game, basically. I mean, they were serious about it, but it was on the internet, and you could bet on whether whether movies would succeed or not. And it was all done electronically. So he needed a program that would match the buyers with the sellers automatically and come out with the real price. So if you had many more buyers than sellers, for example, that would weight the buy side of the sale, so that would put the sale up higher than if you had many more sellers than buyers. So you had to do it. It was all a mathematical thing, comparing buyers with sellers and where they were positioned. So that's fairly straightforward to have. And in fact, he thinks that's the solution: is that you should install this program on every exchange. Don't allow the high frequency programs to trade. And the old way was you had a specialist, so you wouldn't need that either. A specialist was a guy on the New York Stock Exchange who would stand on the floor at a certain place, and he would be in charge of a particular stock. So and the idea was to make liquid markets. In other words, you wanted to always have a buyer and seller, even if there weren't a real buyer or seller. So if you have a big trade coming in and there's no counterparty for it, then the specialist would step in with his stock of shares and would buy or sell. So that gave him an opportunity to front run. He could jump ahead and make a little money on this, but they weren't supposed to do it. I mean, that was actually against the rules, but they could do it. But the computers, now that's a totally different thing. They're doing every single time. That's their whole intent, is to front run these trades.
The Hollywood Stock Exchange, was that an actual real company, or are you saying that was a game?
It was a real company, but they didn't trade. You weren't actually betting real money on the stocks. But now it was bought up by Cantor Fitzgerald, an investment firm. And Cantor Fitzgerald put the good part of his computer program on ice. They bought it and then they stashed it. And then they manipulated the program so that it, I'm sorry, I might be wrong in this. They stashed that part of the program. Then they have now just recently gotten permission to use this Hollywood Stock Exchange with real money. In other words, it's going to be a real casino where people can go in and bet on the success or failure of movies. Well, Max Keiser thinks this is a disaster because, for instance, if somebody falls down, an actor falls down the stairs and breaks a leg and he can't, or dies or something, and he can't continue the movie, then obviously everybody who short sold the movie would make money. So it puts a huge premium on, or it puts a huge amount of stress or potential for manipulating these movies, the success or failure. If you're making a movie and you know it's a flop, you could make sure it's a flop and bet against it and make money off it. So no longer are we going to have a movie industry where they're trying to make great movies. They're just going to be trying to make money off it, gambling, betting on it. It's like a rigged horse race.
When does this Hollywood Stock Exchange come into existence? Did he talk about the timelines or what's...
Well, I think the company, they've filed for the patent in 96. They got the patent in 98. And so the company...
Was it 98 or 99? I think it was 99, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah. U.S. patent number 5960176, awarded in 1999. That's in your article.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The electronic exchanges were approved in 98. So it was after the patent was filed, and people could read this patent. And there are actually 132 patents